right, since everybody loved last week's trip down memory lane, I've decided to keep it going. Today's history lesson is a lesson in efficiency. Last week, we had Nafisa Collier on, who is flirting with her own 50, 40, 90 season right now. She is super close, just needs to hit a couple more threes and she'll get it. If she does, she would be just the second WNBA player ever. That's it. There's one. Her name, Elena Delle Donne. In 2019, she shot 51% from the field, 43% from three, and 97% from the free throw line. It's crazy. She won MVP that year. The Mystics went on to win the whole thing. So you absolutely need to check out some of Elena's highlights from that year, especially the final series. They played the Connecticut Sun. It went to game 5. It got super spicy. After the Mystics lost in game 4, Natasha Cloud came out and guaranteed a game 5 win. So there was a ton of tension. But I actually think another game you could check out of Elena's is when the Seattle Storm, played the Mystics in the 2022 playoffs. That was my final playoff run. So that was one of the last times I'd ever get to play against Elena. It was game 1, and she was unstoppable, especially down the stretch. She finished that game with 26 points, on 11 for 17 from the field. And while there was like a ton of great shot making on both sides, if you go watch, you'll see, especially in that fourth quarter, what you'll also see is quintessential Elena Delle Donne, doing it her way, at her pace, and doing it efficiently. Support for Bird's Eye View comes from Nike. What was your biggest win? Was it in front of a sold-out stadium or the first time you beat your teammate in practice? Nike knows winning isn't always done in front of cheering crowds. Sometimes winning happens in your driveway, on a quiet street at the end of your longest run, or on the blacktop for a pickup game. Nike is here for all the wins, big or small. They provide the gear, you bring the mindset. Visit Nike.com for more information. And be sure to follow Nike on Instagram, TikTok, and other social platforms for more great basketball moments. All right, no better way to segue to talking about Paige Bueckers than talking about efficiency. It's been a little bit of an up and down season for the Wings, but Paige has delivered a standout rookie year with top tier productivity and historic scoring milestones. There's probably going to be a ton of conversation around her numbers as it gets put into historical context, but that's not at all what has jumped out to me about Paige. Similar to Caitlin last year, it's been so fun just to watch her play. It's been fun to watch her learn and adjust to the WNBA in real time. It's been fun to watch her get loose a little bit, like when she hit that step back 3 in front of Kyrie. It's also been fun to watch her grow into her pro game. I think the best compliment you can give a player, especially coming from someone like me who gets to go to WNBA games for free, is that I would actually pay to watch them play. And Paige is 100% in that category. Now, if we do look at the numbers, she's 5th in scoring, she's 10th in assists, and she's 5th in steals per game. This makes her the only player in the league who's in the top 10 in all of those categories, and that's league-wide, not just rookies. Plus, she's top 10 in assists to turnover ratio. So like I said, you talk about Paige, you talk about efficiency. That efficiency from college has definitely translated. So there's a lot of stats to focus on. I know people have been talking about like fastest to points, and I can't even keep up with it. I just can't. But what I can talk about is that single game rookie scoring record she broke. Paige dropped 44 points. She did it on 17 for 21 shooting, and she pretty much locked up Rookie of the Year that night. That all happened in one night. She was actually the first WNBA player to ever shoot at least 80% while scoring over 40. So add that to the list. Of her 17 made field goals, 13 of them were twos, and half of those were from the mid-range. Now, we talked to Arike earlier in the season. She told us about Paige's midi, how killer it was. So it's not really a surprise, but as someone whose favorite shot was the pull-up, I'm actually just happy to see that it's alive and well. All right, speaking of the mid-range, I'm going to finish Sue's view with this. The ongoing conversation in the world of basketball is analytics and how building teams around the three-pointer, around the layup, and basically around the free throw is the key to winning. So I actually love analytics, and I really believe in them. I think you have to entertain them. You have to bring them in, make it a part of how you run a team. But I don't think it means eliminating the mid-range completely. It's like Paige said after her 44-point performance Because teams have moved towards threes and layups, a lot of defenses are giving up the mid range. So it can actually be an advantage if you can play there. And obviously, it's an advantage when you have a player like Paige playing there. But all of this really says to me is that in the past, we've just had too many inefficient players shooting in the mid range. And now teams have to coach. They have to coach based on their roster. So I 100% think there is still a place for it. But given our next guest, and how her team plays, spoiler, analytically, I wanted to see how the numbers were shaking out in the WNBA. And the truth is, there really isn't much to prove anything, but I can tell you this. 3 of the top 5 offensive rated teams are also top 5 in 3-point attempts. 4 of the top 5 offensive rated teams are also top 5 in 3-point percentage. Conversely, 4 of the bottom 5 offensive rated teams are in the bottom 5 in 3-point attempts. But then you have the outliers, and the main one being Minnesota. So if you go back to 2024, last year, they were the outlier because they were 6th in 3-point attempts and 2nd in mid-range attempts, but they got to the finals. And in 2025, they continue that with their mid-range and are 2nd in attempts. They've jumped a little bit, so now they're 5th in 3-point attempts. By the way, they shoot the ball really well. I think they're 1st in 3-point percentage, but clearly they're the best team in the league right now. So for me, you can't ignore the analytics, but you also can't ignore the skill set of your roster. That's the balance teams have to find, and it's the balance Minnesota found last year and that they've taken with them into this year.